Hey there, guys. Thank you for joining us for this Phoenix Aurelius Research Academy June update for 2022. June was a huge month. Of course, we stopped selling our liposomal and spagyrizomal vitamin C we stopped shipping it on June 21st until the fall equinox. And so we were making tons of it to keep up with customer demands. Hopefully you got some because we won't be shipping anymore until September 21st or so. In terms of stuff that we did and major production in the lab, we harvested tons of herbs, Valerian flowers, bachelor buttons, sage flowers, red clover flowers, comfrey flowers, lavender, French tarragon, hollyhock flowers, wild lettuce, Shasta daisy, lemon, lucerne, yarrow, wild rose, wild carrot seeds and root, catnip, and St. John's wort. And we have continued, I guess it's now July, but we've continued harvesting lots of different things. And that's been really awesome because I haven't had the opportunity to go and harvest and wild harvest for a couple of years due to all of the research programs that we were holding. So it feels really good to get back up into the mountains and into the hills. And yeah, there's a few other things, but I guess that will go on July's report. We made a huge 5-gallon batch of wild lettuce decoction. Nori came in with a huge amount of wild lettuce from the yard, and we sat there and processed it for probably over an hour and a half and then boiled it with 5 gallons of water. I mean, this was huge. We had to do this in an 80-quart stock pot. It was a very large batch. And we got a huge decoction out of it, and then we freeze dried it. So we have this awesome wild lettuce freeze dried powder. This is just for experimentation right now, but the idea is to be able to encapsulate this and then see how it works for pain, for sleep, for other things in comparison to spagyric tinctures, herbal tinctures, etc., to find out what some of the best preparations are going to be specifically for the certain things that wild lettuce is ideal for. We also distilled an essential oil of lavender buds. We got a pretty healthy pull off of that. So that was really cool. That will ultimately go into a philosophic spagyric essence of lavender that we will be making. We also started split testing ideal preparations of Valerian flowers. So we've harvested them on flower days. We've also harvested them on non-flower days so that we can just compare that difference. But then we also have some that are dried and we also have some that are fresh. And we've tinctured both ways, both on flower days and on non-flower days. So we will have a pretty wide angle of things. And then as a preliminary thing, you know, it's oftentimes said that if you harvest herbs with steel or with a knife, that they can lose a lot of their vitality. So recently I've got myself a really expert crafted knife that is made of obsidian, and started harvesting with the obsidian and harvesting some of the same batch, but a different part of the plant with steel to see if there's any significant difference in vitality that we're able to test energetically or otherwise. So that's been pretty cool. We also have been split testing methods for making a Paracelsium Magistery of lemon balm. We have come up with a pretty interesting and cool method of juicing the fresh plant material and then adding all of that juice to the alcohol tincture and then being able to distill out and seeing if we can do several repetitions of this in order to create a magistery. And we are also split testing that against the traditional method of just macerating the fresh herb inside of alcohol, distilling, you know, filtering, distilling that out, and continuing multiple repetitions. We're going to see if there's any significant differences or if this new method maybe works better or the same. We don't really know. So we are just experimenting with that and trying to split test things to bring Paracelsium methods into the modern day. With the equipment that we have available to us now. We also worked on a ton of salts, and we encountered one of the coolest things. Those of you who follow me on Facebook, on my personal Facebook, I actually shared that some of our salts turned blue. And I've been doing this work for a very long time. The only factors that were different were that we were using an electric kiln, which we had used before, so it's not like it was completely new to us. but we were using an electric kiln in kind of prolonged calcination periods with it. But what we were able to find was that through IDF analysis that these salts actually ended up turning blue. Pure potassium carbonate had already been leached and calcined multiple times, so it was very, very pure already. We were just doing a nice final calcination of it, and all of a sudden it turned completely like turquoise. So that was really crazy. And then when we dissolved those turquoise salts in water, they actually turned, the solution turned like neon yellow. And so we are still working those salts. We found out due to an IDF investigation that it was because the B sub Z of the geomagnetism of the Earth was less than -10 nanoteslas. And there was also a barometric pressure thing that was happening that day. So we have not been able to replicate this result using the exact same kiln, using batches of similar salts. We've still calcined in this kiln. That's still not happening. So this blueness is very interesting. We've kept a couple of samples for IDF purposes, and then we are trying to continue to purify the rest and see if we can get some of that to be good. Some of what we calcined after that was no longer soluble, though, so that was interesting. You know, over 20 years now of doing this work, or I guess about 20 years now of doing this work, and I've not seen an anomaly like that. So that was really cool, fun, exciting, also frustrating a little bit. And then we also received a very awesome herb package from one of our former employees, Kim, who is now living in Virginia and owns a business on Etsy called Appalachian Wildcraft. Hands down, the highest quality herbs that I think I have ever seen from any wildcraft individual, possibly besides myself. They just go through such great care to get these herbs in such pristine and awesome condition. So we got golden bells, wild yam, blue cohosh, purple dead nettle, usnea, chaga, Dutchman's pipe, and ghost pipe. And we have some really amazing, outstanding specimen that we have ordered from them before of hemlock reishi and turkey tail and a couple of other herbs. But I'm telling you, in terms of the fresh roots that they send, like it came packaged up in nice wet moss from Appalachia, and it was just so amazing to see the extraordinary quality and how natural everything had been kept and how fresh. The fresh roots, which were wild yam and blue cohosh, arrived so perfectly. And we have a kind of a special thing going on with the Dutchman's pipe and the ghost pipe where they freeze it immediately, harvest, freeze immediately, flash freeze, put it on dry ice, ship it to us overnight, and then we put it into the freeze dryer. So we've got a very healthy supply of both ghost pipe and Dutchman's pipe over here. And the Dutchman's pipe was growing on birch, so it smells like birch oil. It's really, really cool and really amazing. And when I say it's growing on, it's not like growing on the tree. It's growing at the base of the tree, interspersed with the mycorrhizae. So with that being said, the last thing that we did was we went to Fire again, primitive skills gathering. This was absolutely awesome. Noriana made a primitive clay pot. She also wove a willow basket. She made a strop cloth and strop stone for sharpening her knives. She did a lot of things. My daughter ended up dyeing some natural cloths and learning how to make some awesome sourdough breads and biscuits and different types of things like that. Did some horseback riding. I made a hock sack. I forged another knife and finished even another knife, which I gave to Owen, our lab assistant. And then let's see, what else did I do? I also sewed a pouch and a huntsman hood, and Noriana also made a huntsman hood as well. So it was awesome, man. 5 jam-packed days of just nothing but creation. It got me so inspired. So ever since coming back, we've been trying to do things. Nori carved this nice little hand scoop out of wood, and I carved a nice little wooden spoon, and we've just been trying to spend a lot of time out in nature and continue those maker skills. And since then, we've got some materials to start sewing leather and making sheaths for the knives. I've got a really nice forge setup going on right now, and we'll be forging quite a bit. I'm also going to experimentally try and move into casting some bronze and forging some bronze type weapons, especially sickles and different types of things like that for magical purposes. And yeah, I think that that's really about it. There's always things that I remember afterwards that I wish I would have said, but to the best of my memory, that's pretty much it. Anyway, we want to thank you guys so much for all of your support of the Phoenix Aurelius Research Academy. We've been able to do so much in the last couple of months. We're building up our apothecary, both spagyric and herbal apothecaries over here, and we just have so many things that we are studying in the pipeline right now, so that over the next 6 months to a year, we will have tons of information available on our website of how we went about the experiment, what we did, what the results were, so on and so forth, so that people can begin to grow and learn from the work that we're doing, and hopefully save a lot of time and effort and energy, and just drive the creativity and new processes of extraction through the roof for future generations. So again, thank you so much for your support. All of your purchases are absolutely instrumental in that. Thanks again.